I probably worked with a dozen families, if not more, God, dozens of families over the last 12 to 18 months. And those family dynamics can be a lot of different things. It could be four kids, three kids, six kids. They could be Italian. They could be Greek. They could be Arabic. They could be from Kentucky. That doesn't matter. What the biggest thing that I always talk to parents about is we need to remember the one important thing when it comes down to communicating with our kids. And no, it's not what you think. It's not that, oh, I need to respect them. And yeah, you do. And it's not that I need to meet them where they're at. Yeah, you do. But the biggest thing is you need to remember to parent them in their generation. You need to remember to parent them with the shit that they've got going on and what they're dealing with. The problem that we run into all the times as parents is that we want to parent the way we were raised. And unfortunately, guys, going out till the streetlights come on isn't a thing anymore. We had it so much better, in my opinion, but unfortunately, we can't parent like that. We have to parent our children in the situation that they're in and the days that they're in and the society that they're in. And we can't allow our parenting to change who they are, but we need to change the way we parent so we can meet them where they are. Hey, I'm Chris Kourtakis. I'm a licensed therapist in the state of Michigan. You can check me out at AskChrisK.com and Metanoia.com. Like I said, I've worked with a dozen families over the past year, and they've ranged from kids, down to elementary to middle school. But my specialty is high school. I love working with families and high school students, and we get the best out of the families, and we get them communicating, and we get them understanding where everybody's coming from. One of my favorite families was an Italian family full of six, and man, you want to talk about big, loud, and obnoxious. If I can get them dialed in, I can get anybody else dialed in. I also work with a lot of students that might have had slip-ups or things like that. But the biggest thing is that my parents don't understand me, or I can't connect with my child, or I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know the lingo and things like that. Well, we work on it together. We get educated together. We figure out things together, and we talk about things together. One thing we don't understand as parents in today is why our kids are attached to our phones. Well, we got to remember, we didn't have it, so we don't understand it. Thank God we didn't have it on some days. But, unfortunately, this is what they have to deal with. And there's been studies that show that schools that don't have cell phone policies in them, they have poorer test scores. But schools that have cell phone policies and don't let cell phones in the classroom, man, they have better test scores, and they're showing growth and abundance in terms of everything. And, that comes back down to parenting and what we have to do and what we have to understand. And this is where we got to meet our kids today. We've got to meet them where they're at. We got to understand, all the different pressures that they have, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat. What is it used for? Why is it used? Why do we communicate? I mean, the other day I asked one of my kids, hey, I need a phone number for one of your friends. He says, I don't have his phone number. I said, how the hell you communicate? Snapchat. And, so it's just understanding that he had to Snapchat his buddy to get his text, to get his phone number so I could text him. Because again, I can't call him. He'll never answer the phone. So it's just understanding where these kids are today and what they're going through and what, the challenges are for them. We need to ask them when they come home, not how their day was, but what was the best part of their day. You got to force them to have the conversation, because if you just say, how was your day? Fine. What'd you do? Nothing. Did you go to school? Yeah. Did you learn anything? I think so. But what was the best part of your day? Now they got to answer the question. What was your favorite part of X class? Oh, now I got to answer because dad might not know I'm paying attention. But again, we got to meet the kids where they are at. We've got to meet them with their problems. We've got to meet them with the way they have to handle their friends and their society and the pressures that they're dealing through right now. But if we try to do it from our generation that just didn't exist with cell phones and didn't exist with anything else, then, it's not going to work, and we're going to fight, and you guys are going to be like this. Doesn't mean you're both wrong. Just means you're both right, but you just got to figure out how to communicate. You're just yelling at each other in foreign languages, one speaking Mandarin and one speaking Chinese, one speaking Southern English and one speaking British English, all speaking the same language. We just can't communicate. So when families come to me, and I say couples, but when the families come to me, we work through these challenges, and we got to understand as parents that our kids are going through different things than we did. I mean, when we were growing up, what did we have to deal with? If we got in trouble, we went behind the bleachers and beat the shit out of each other. And then it was over and we went home. That's not how it is anymore. So we got to understand what those anxieties look like, what those pressures look like, what those feelings look like, and make sure that our kids have a safe space to communicate with us. So yeah, it's difficult. It's a lot of education on our part as parents to understand the shit that our kids are going to deal with and what they're going through, and understanding what challenges there are and what tools there are. I mean, we got AI coming out right now, and I hear so many parents going, I'm not going to let my kids use AI. Well, then you're hindering them. Why wouldn't you let them use the tool that was there? I had a parent the other day say, I'm not going to let them use AI. And I said, did your parents tell you you couldn't use the internet? And they looked at me and they said, what do you mean? I said, same thing, different generation. It was something that was new. It was something unknown. It was something that nobody knew what the hell it was going to do and how it was going to evolve. But if we were going to limit ourselves and limit other people to it, then the growth is never going to happen. We need to embrace it. We need to understand it. And we need to be able to communicate with our kids about what's out there. You know what? AI is a great tool. You need to use it when you're doing your schoolwork. It's not going to do your schoolwork for you. And if it does, then we're going to have problems. But if you're going to write your paper yourself and then you're going to put it through and let them do some changing for them, great. If you have some complex problems and you need done in Excel and we can work together, absolutely. But that's how you communicate with the kids. Why aren't they going out anymore? It's crazy. We don't think they go out anymore and they don't want to do anything. And we go upstairs and they're talking to 60 different people on the same game, playing Fortnite and communicating with all their friends from school. They just don't go out. They do things differently. And that's okay. But we got to understand it so that we're not getting frustrated with them. We need to understand their point of view and how they communicate, what they want to do, where they're going to go. And as they get older and they get those freedoms and they get those cars and they start driving around again, what does that look like? If we meet them where they're at and in their generation and their problems, I'm going to tell you right now, parenting becomes a hell of a lot easier than it does trying to figure out how to fit that square peg in a round hole. Because you know what? Us and our generation, like I said, is different. And it's no different than when our parents used to say, I don't know how about this generation. I don't know how they're going to do it. And these kids are stupid today and everything else. The conversations don't change. It's the same thing. Everybody's saying the same thing. Everybody's doing the same thing from generation to generation. But what makes us different today is we have the information to actually change and make a difference to our kids. You want to connect with them? Talk to them from their generation. You want to connect with them and understand what the problems they're dealing with? Do your research so when you do talk to them, you don't sound like, oh my God, Dad, where did you grow up? Or you're so stupid or anything else. And they just roll their eyes and walk away. Change the way you communicate with them and put their eyes back in their head. Change the way that you ask your questions to them and show them that you care and understand. And those conversations are going to change. Again, I'm Chris Kourtakis. I'm a licensed therapist. I work, like I said, with a lot of families. And it doesn't matter if you're in the state of Michigan or around the world. I can help you. I can communicate with you. And I can get you guys doing something that you never imagined. And that was being a family that you want and hoped and been dreaming about. Need a little dialing in? Absolutely. Nobody's perfect. Give us a call. We can help you out on that. But again, guys, do the research. Figure out what your kids are dealing with. Meet them where they want to be met. Don't expect them to take a leap back and join you back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s where we all grew up. Yeah, it was fantastic. It was probably the best generations to ever grow up in. But you know what? That's not them. They got other shit to deal with. They got safety concerns. They got shooters they got to deal with. We did tornado drills where we put books over our heads. They got active shooters, and they got to figure out how to dial 911 without using a phone. It's the craziest things that these kids are going through today. So understanding their nerves, understanding their anxieties, understanding their fears, and understanding that and meeting them where they're at. I'm going to tell you right now, your communication with them and your bond with them and your overall parenting skills are going to change. This is a game changer. And if you want to be there, make it happen.